Let's go ahead and turn our attention over to the ICE facilities, because over the last week, they've been targeted by violent left-wing activists. Two of them were in Texas. One of them was in Portland. But the headlines have been using words like attack and ambush to describe the incidents instead of a more fitting term like domestic terrorism. Let's go ahead and look at SOT2, the Antifa attacks there in the Portland ICE facility. Guys, they want you to believe that's just, it's just a little ambush. It's just a little attack. But when we come to all of these phrases that are being used, we know that the media spins this all the time for, no, we're going to protect our own. We're not going to go out there and say that whatever is happening that we kind of maybe want to have happen. No, that's not, we can't use the words like domestic terrorism. They'll protect them, Matt.
Yeah, this has been percolating for a long time. And in case you wondered, what kind of horrors would be drug up by the left when they didn't immediately riot and take to the streets after Trump came in, this is it. And it's actually alarming it's a serious thing, because what we've seen so far are not just the Antifa lunatics, shooting their fireworks off and all that. Although notice in the video that they are actually being accosted by law enforcement, which is a great thing. We've seen tamping down on the riots. We haven't seen, the level of the BLM stuff. There's been some stuff that's happened, right? Everyone knows about LA, but there's one theory that this is all just revving down. The spirit isn't there anymore to actually do it. But the alarming thing is these planned attacks, when you're actually trying to assassinate federal officials, as happened in Texas. That stuff is not going away. And the language that these people are using, that even Karen Bass is using in LA, is very much as if like California is not part of America. It's a rejection of federal authority wholesale. And so you have that language on the one hand, and then you have these increasingly planned attacks that look like something new, to be honest, something we haven't seen in some time in America, really probably since the 1970s. So I think we're going to keep an eye on that. As the country turns, there's a vibe shift. There's a lot of people in the middle who just don't care anymore, it appears. But there's also a significant contingent of Democrats and people on the left who are getting exceedingly violent and riotous. And this is something, of course, this is the kind of domestic terrorism that the FBI pretended that they were going after for decades, the last decade on the right. And, I hope to God that they're going to go after it on the left this time.
Let's go ahead and double down on the leftist rhetoric. Let's go ahead and look at SOT3. DHS Secretary Mayorkas was actually going out there and saying, the greatest threat is domestic terrorism.
And what we in the Department of Homeland Security have assessed is that the greatest terrorism-related threat that we face in the homeland is the threat of domestic violent extremism. Individuals drawn to violence because of ideologies of hate or false narratives propagated on social media and other online platforms.
Now, Chris, that sounds great, but the only problem with it is that when you hear Mayorkas say domestic terror, they're talking about those Catholics that go to church and Latin Mass and everything else that we've seen that has been weaponized. The government has been weaponized against the American people. They're not talking about the incidents that we're talking about here, and therein lies the problem.
Yeah, it does. Although that speech triggered me from back as an intern when I had to cover DHS solely, and that was the tenor of basically every speech I ever went to. It was so hard to stay awake during some of those early days. But it's what do they call it? Gaslighting of the American people when we've now lived through 10 years plus, no, even longer than that, of violent left-wing extremism in the United States. I mean, remember when Black Lives Matter came back on the scene in 2020 and people acted like, what is this new movement of people who are just trying to save lives? So these are the same guys who opened up fire as a sniper on police in Texas and killed multiple officers. This is the exact same organization and group of people. Well, not all the same people, and I guess they didn't have the same nonprofit status, but they called themselves Black Lives Matter. This was a group that was in very recent history. And they tried to just go over that. when there are different attacks that clearly are politically motivated or sometimes terror motivated, the FBI of the Obama years and the Biden years would throw up its hands and say, I guess we'll never know the motivation behind this violence. Yeah, we do. It's really obvious. They're wearing banners. They're wearing flags. Like the guy who tried to take a shot at President Trump at the golf course. He was pretty clear what his motivations were. It's not a huge mystery. But Matt's right. This is a really dangerous escalation. And thank God for the safety of the police officers that these Antifa guys who were kitted out in tactical gear, who had weapons, who had guns, weren't very good at using them and scattered. Because if that group had been better trained and actually able to use them and bring the deadly force that they brought with them to bear, that would have been a very, very different episode. And at the same time, and here in Washington, D.C., you've got Democrats saying, we want to make it so that these agents can't protect their identities anymore. When there are radicals going around with leaflets trying to print the faces of different agents who are federal agents, that's seditious activity. That's dangerous activity. It's targeting of these police officers personally for the duties that they're carrying out in their official capacity within the laws of the United States passed by our Congress and upheld by our courts. And they're being targeted by Democrats amid this violence because they're so confident that their friends in corporate media will hide this, will bury it, will use these words like, oh, it was a brawl, it was an attack, as opposed to what it really was, that they don't actually have to answer for trying to provide backing behind them at the same time. And by the way, where are the cities coming out, speaking of unmasking, and saying you can't wear masks anymore? I'm sorry, I just do not believe that the group of 16-year-old kids walking through D.C. in a 95-degree day are wearing balaclavas because they want to protect themselves from COVID. They're thieving. They're committing crimes. And when I moved to D.C., there was a law against covering your face in public. It was an anti-masking law. Cities across the country had those before COVID, and now people use them as just a way to protect their identity while they target police officers, and Democrats try to remove the masks from police officers who are being targeted by them. It's a situation where Democrats have become so lost on this that they are backing up the violence because they don't know what to do peacefully anymore.
Yeah, and you throw onto this the fact that you see this, the USAID and former State Department employees who are pissed off, who are bragging about the fact that we were paid to create, revolution in other countries, and now, you made a big mistake because we're all going to do that here. So there's no apology from these people, and you do have a lot of people who the left created this activism core who are now going to turn their attention methodically to federal agents and federal facilities that are trying to enforce immigration law. So there's no doubt that this continues, and I don't know how large it will be, but it's the fact that what we've seen are very precise plans, right, to assassinate members of the federal government. So, I mean, you're exactly right. This has been going on for a while. People have pretended it's not here. What we want to see from the federal government now is acknowledgement, and we have seen some of that already, that this is domestic terrorism, as Jill says, and that we systematically go after these people.
Final thoughts, Chris?
And meanwhile, the unarmed rioters at the Capitol are considered a violent and serious President Trump-backed coup. That's the level. And by the way, though, the January 6th prosecution opened the path, like Democrats have opened the path on so many different things, to actually what an FBI that is serious will look like when it goes after these organizations, these terrorist organizations domestically. And I hope and I think that this administration has the cojones to actually use those precedents to go after these deadly, violent terrorists.
Chris Bedford, of course, is talking about January 6th because he knows exactly what's coming up next on the show. Chris, thanks so much for your time.
I'll see you tomorrow.